Well, hello there, everybody. How are y'all doing? Good to see everyone. Thank you for tuning in and happy day to you. It's Tuesday. This is a second look, and normally you would see my beautiful co-host Trina Phoenix on here, and along with Jenny and Jennifer. um, but Trina has what apparently Lynn has. Yeah, what Lynn got was pneumonia. So she ain't feeling good. And Trina, we just speak healing to you, darling. She said, I'd be coughing all the way through. I know exactly what that feels like. So, sweetheart, just sending you some healing vibe, sending you a bunch of hugs, and you're going to kick its ass. That's all I got to say. So, and Jenny, bless her. And that's what I hope we can do here. Um, so her phone eventually went kaputs. And so um, I just thought, and it's just me, but this group, we help, you know, those who, when the spirit moves, as I used to say, and still works today. But check her out on the channel, left the link below. And she needs 200 pounds for, I think this would be probably a refurbished laptop, but it certainly would be better than what she has now, which is zero. So I think that's 300 US dollars. So, hey, if you happen to feel moved and put a few shekels in her pocket, I know she has a PayPal account over there. Yeah, send her a little ray of sunshine. All right, Jenny, we love you, darling. And I know we will be seeing you soon. So, hey, everybody in the chat room, Lost in Space. Deborah Sloan, Loretta, good to see ya. Daddy Rabbit, what's up? Mark Smith, how you doing, bro? Good to see you. Jules, what's up, darling? It's not even daylight there, I think. And y'all need to check Jules' channel out. I know you put it in the chat there, Jules, but do it again. And she said the planetary shift, and I think there is. Planet's going through a lot. I don't think we talk about this, and I don't, and it's to me, it mystifies me that if and this is not hyperbole. Apparently, this is how they got the science. I don't know. I didn't know we had measurements now that could do that, but apparently we do. But they're saying that the Earth's core has stopped. Now, again, I'm just a simple guy. You know, got an overabundance of common sense, and that only comes from experience. But I don't know. Is that voice inside going, hmm, you got a planet, what, nearly 25,000 miles in complete circumference, um, which means that, like 12,500 miles into the core. Uh, that's a long way. So I'm saying, well, if this thing is stopped, now when I was a kid, we used to have those tops, where you would put a string on there and then you would throw your spinning top out there, and there would be others who would have it, kind of like modern day sock'em rock'em robots or something. But anyway, when something stops spinning, it eventually begins to wobble and then, stops. And when it stops, I mean, that ain't good. At least I don't think it's good. I mean, if the planet's been spinning all of history, then, hmm, does anyone think there might be a problem here? I don't know. But anyway, so, and then you've got the whole thing on, well, what if the Earth is just merely a flat plane? I don't know. So Nina, she's going to be doing a show on it. Nina, here's another book for you, hon. I don't have, but you can get it. It's called Flat Earth, Investigations into the Massive 500-Year Heliocentric Lie. And actually, it's a well put together book. I mean, yeah, not we're going through space like this. We're going through space like this. But then that makes it really weird because how does that work? Um, it will be retrograding. Nina, I think you may be right. Check in on her show there for sure. And thanks, hon, for that. Hey, Jackie, how are you, darling? Um, Mary Wins, how you doing, hon? Tori, good to see you. Mad Cow, Scott, what's up? And Jeanette, good to see you. And John, how are you doing? Gilbert, how you doing, brother? Are you healing up? I got your text and just thought I'd give you a shout out as opposed, getting into the text. But brother, let me tell you what, Gilbert is, you know, tenacity. That's what I think about Gilbert. You know, love the spirit, man. We'll hook up on the other side too. That's just a fact. So much love to you. Goddess, how are you doing, darling? Monkey Experience, what's up? Let's see what else. So, yeah, flat Earth. We're going to get into something else as well. Asked the question yesterday, and Trina was texting me this morning, and letting me know she wasn't feeling good at all, coughing. And she said, interesting question that you asked about can a spirit kill a human, a physical being? And Lucky Stone, he left a really good comment on the program yesterday. Check that out in the comment section. And, I kind of left it up there. Now, a person can die of fright. But the question is that really the spirit's fault? Or is that the individual inhabiting the body? Is the body damaged and the individual spirit doesn't realize that? Um, and so fear would naturally interrupt the life force energy to the body. Now, if a spirit can do that, then that would seem to lean towards that, yeah, a spirit can. Kind of weird when you think about it. I mean, I've often contended the fact is no God has ever fought any war. It's just us. But yet we know through the esoteric studies that as above, so below, and vice versa. We all believe that we're spirits. We believe that we're going into an afterlife, right? So are there vengeful spirits? I often wonder about that. When the witch trials were taking place through, you know, it's been taking place all along, but with Ernest, some 250 years, it is written that a number of these witches left curses. And so it would carry over that to be burned alive, number one, to have that, no pun intended here, seared into your consciousness. Well, that's got to suck. I mean, death, I guess there's no real pleasurable. Yeah, I do believe. I think you can, in fact, go out in a non-painful way. But in any case, being burnt alive, um, I, I've seen that. I lived in Knoxville back in the early 90s, and it was December 23rd. Yeah. And the condominiums I lived in my condominium faced the driveway that, where people parked. And I had these French doors. Long story short, I was there and man, the windows blew out. Boom! And I mean, it knocked me back a little bit, and because it was a big boom. So I had a pair of jogging pants on, and like I said, in Knoxville, it gets cold in December. And um, so I ran out because I knew something happened. I mean, that wasn't normal. And as I ran out to the front door, the other neighbors were coming out, and there was this car that was on fire. It was right next to mine. And, you know, I instinctively just ran out. I didn't have any shoes on. And of course, there was glass everywhere. But when I got over to the driver's side, um, there was a gentleman, a dude that was in there. And, well, I tried to, break the window because he was still alive. And I tried to get a hold of the door handle. He had the door locked. And plus, I, you know, burnt myself on the door. And the thing was, he had blown out the back windows and to the side. He had put gasoline in there and had poured the gasoline all over the back seat and the front seat, and then lit a match. And it did. It made a big boom. And when you see that happening to a human being, that this gurgling sound come out of him. I mean, it was his last breath. And the point is that I'm getting to all that. So would that kind of experience, would that hold you to the earth? I mean, that's a hell of a way to go, whether it's intentional or if it was in the case of burning innocent women and children and men. Don't know. I think on these things, it's like, you know, as opposed to, going out, in your sleep. Do like Don Knotts did. Go out laughing. I mean, two different extremes of energy, isn't it? And that's why I say we all don't go to the same place. But yeah. So anyway, so Trina says, I'm feeling better. Is this the cough won't stop? Yeah, that's a truth. That is a truth. Know that, dear. Missing you. See, but I can handle it. I can carry it. So anyway, got to think about those things. Thinking about those kind of things. So have you seen this? Ben Davidson covered this morning, and I thought this is really cool because it says so much in so many different ways. So this is Chandra, and this is Cassiopeia, and this is what we can't see. The human eye doesn't see this. It just sees this blank space. But I wanted to bring this up because this is Chandra bringing all the visible light spectrums into play. And you can see, wow, I mean, it tells me that this thing that they've told us is outer space, we live in a dome. The pictures of the guy looking through the firmament. But is that just not beautiful? And look at the concentricness of this nova explosion. Now, our sun is apparently heading in this direction. Maybe a micronova, but this sun blew away. Just said, I had enough. But is that not just gorgeous? Wow. And if we can see this in one, I mean, you can only imagine what this galaxy looks like, much less the whole universe. So thought I'd share that. Anyway, as I go over here. Hey, Steiger. So what's happening, chat room? As I move over here. Mm-hmm. Feeling pretty groovy. Hey, Michelle. Do, 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 do. Oh, everyone's giving remedies. Yes, raw pineapple for throat and cough. True. Hey, Susie Q, what's up, darling? Let's do this now. How are you, sir? Loretta, what's up, darling? And Rick, good to see you. So, uh, we're going to get into a little subject that I know I actually know a lot on, but we're going to pick this thing up tomorrow about hell. We've located it, you know. Come to find out, either we're the uh, creators of it, or we're the prisoners. I don't know. Thought occurred to me this morning when I was out shoveling snow. It's a great time to meditate. That, wait a minute. Okay, maybe there's another way of looking at this whole thing. We're here, and if this is hell, okay, I can buy that. But then again, I thought, what if we're not the prisoners? What if they're the guards? Us? We're the gatekeepers. Oh, there's a whole lot of other things here that, yes, maybe this is the cosmic pile dump. I don't know. Maybe this is where other gods put their souls. There's a thousand different things you can come up with. But then I thought, well, what if we're the custodians? Why not? I mean, if all things are possible, then that very well could be. Maybe we don't know that we're the custodians. Maybe we're the groundskeeper. I don't know. Maybe we're house cleaning. And then again, it could be maybe we are, in fact, the custodians. We certainly have the ability to open portals, doorways. I don't know if the prisoners can do that. We can do that. I don't know. Just throwing it out there. Hey, Shirley. Hello, I am Nancy. What's up, New Yoda? Good to see you. Yeah, Trina, exactly. That's my point. I think we could be. Yesterday I said that hell, instead of looking at it as a place for punishment, and someone commented on eighth grade PE, I think it may have been Gilbert. I don't know. Someone actually wrote, and if I misquoted that, forgive me, but said, if I only had that mindset, if the coach had only told me. Now, I don't know if being at teenagers, if they would we have understood, but, and how many of you remember the name of your coach? I do. Coach Gardner. That son of a bitch had this paddle and actually with holes drilled in it. So did Mr. Barber, the vice principal. And that guy wasn't like, he didn't matter to him. Back in those days, corporal punishment was okay. Joe says maybe we're in a video game set on super hard. Yeah, maybe. Well, gods like to be tested. How would a god go about being tested? You ever thought about that? If there's this complex hierarchy that exists in this ethereal realm, the spirit realm, then either we're a part of it or we're the new kids to the block, and that would mean that we would be outsiders. I don't know. Would that be how it is? How does that work? I don't know. Maybe, but if this complex reality exists, then all right. So we've been told we're gods. Even the Jesus dude said we're gods. Okay. So I don't know how a god could be punished. I mean, why would a god be punished? That doesn't make any sense. Why would a god use fear? Well, only to control, which means that they're overcompensating, which tells me that they don't have that authority to begin with. So anyway, you look at that, and so maybe it is training. I don't know. Maybe we're graded as to those things that we excelled at, those obstacles we overcame. If that's the case, then we're all fucking experts. It's like, man, we overcome this on multiple fronts. Well, Michelle says we are begging for punishment to go on to heaven to escape this. We created this reality. Well, we let the elites create it. I like that. They have the signs. They tell us through movies. We do nothing and we take on their karma. That's profound, Michelle. I like that. Hmm. And then you speak about karma. That's a whole thing. I mean, that is the snake eating its tail. Karma. I don't think how there's any way you could ever balance it out, being that we're in an unbalanced chaos, chaotic. I don't know. But I love having these discussions, if you understand me. But thanks for that. Michelle, that was great. Lady Ellie, how are you? Good to see you. Um, that's deep. I like that. So if and we're going to study more of it because I like this book that we got into, and we'll get back to our others for sure. Um, so getting onto a subject that I do have some background in, the events of Miami. Now you can go out there, plenty of other channels are putting it up, and the pictures that are coming out. Um, it always amazes me in this day and age of where everybody has a camera on them. Everybody. And all we get are fuzzy, out of focus pictures. I've seen a couple that may be semi-clear. But in any case, it seems that either this is a script that's being entered into the matrix, um, because something seems to be going on. What is Miami now, the fourth city? It was Las Vegas. I think someone on the West Coast, San Diego, something like that. Houston, I hear, and now Miami. Um, and I've been watching some of the chatter on this, and it's real interesting because people are saying, well, this could be the Nephilim, the return of the Nephilim. Well, that's interesting because if such creatures exist, then, Houston, we got a problem, because that then opens up this whole other door that, well, maybe it just wasn't folklore, myth, or whatever. Um, but Michelle, is punishment always the only option? I don't know. As I was a kid, I got the shit beat out of me. I didn't do anything. Is that punishment? That's what I was told. No, and that's just my point of view. I don't think punishment is necessary in order to learn. I just don't. I think there are alternatives of which I think intelligent, conscious beings would realize. But that goes way back, way back, if you know what I mean, Michelle. Thank you. I have the Maelstrom. How you doing, Mad Cow? Good to see you, DJ. So anyway, interesting. So the Nephilim. Did the giants live here? Yeah, they did. I've got, and we've covered, and we're going to review some of this because I think there is so much misunderstanding because people, they would rather hear someone say, well, they hear it was the Nephilim, and they really don't know. So I've had so many books that document this one here by Stephen Quell. I like Stephen's work, although I don't believe in his point of view on many things because he's Christian orientated, but his research is good. This is a fabulous book, heavy son of a gun too, but very detailed on the research. And the reason why I got fully engrossed in it is that I had a client back in my video production days, was the Smithsonian Institute. And I knew the assistant curator, Bob, and I won't give his last name, blah, blah. Anyway, I've had the opportunity to see things behind the displays. And one of those was a box, and it wasn't just one, there were several of them, of very big human-looking bones. But they were big. Big. I'm talking big. So, another guy that I thought did good, and again, I don't always go by, their religious backing, but their research is good. And if you can take that open-mindedness about anyone, any writer, any researcher, anyway, this is another good one. Mr. L.A. Marzulli, excuse me. Good one. These are all great reference books. Another one, this one again is a second book of LA's, on the trail of the Nephilim. And they're well done. I mean, they're fully colored. They're the photographs. I mean, folks, when you look at beings, and the thing that I have found about these, they're not human. They're hybrid of human, but they're not human. Let's see. Another one from Stephen Quell, which was pretty good. The True Tales, the True Legends, on the Hunt for the Giants. Here they are in Mayan culture. We know the first pharaoh was a giant. North America was the home of the giants. They ruled here. This is Fritz Zimmerman, great guy. The Nephilim Chronicle. And if you really are into the subject, it's a fascinating one. What's Esli say? Epic rat? Well, thank you. Well, thank you very much. So, and then if you look at and you combine the studies, for instance, the reptilians, we know that they were here. Evidence. Going way back. And I'm just showing these because a lot of people say, can you just give us the books? This is another good one. And then we did a detailed book study on the Book of Og, Enoch, and the Book of Giants. We read the parchments, and I just thought, well, wouldn't it be kind of cool to go back? Hey, what's that? Let's see. Oh, when you drop in some of the comments in the chat room, it's like, whoop, okay. I love it. So, speaking of which, how do I want to go first? Where do I want to go first? Because this is a pretty cool study, any way you look at it. Let's go over here. This is a PDF. It's Earth Epochs. We know that the Earth, what we're living in, is not what the Earth has always been, and certainly will not be what the Earth will be in the future. We're living in a moment of time that is an aberration. It seems the Earth, in its, I don't know if you want to say in its beginning state, is nothing like this Earth today. But anyway, this is a great research paper. Goes to the Patagonian giants. And I thought it was really interesting because this is Antonio Pigafetta, Venetian nobleman, joined the expedition of Magellan as the official chronicler of the voyage. Big deal. I mean, if you look at Flavius Josephus's works, the reason why his writings are so important in aspects, because there's very few writings in a period of the first century. Odd, I know. Anyway, so Pagetta kept a good diary of the expedition in which he made entries every day of the entire Odyssey, and I bet it was an Odyssey. He said that one of the reasons for joining the expedition was to gain some fame for posterity. We all want to be remembered, and guess what? Sir Antonio, we are remembering you. You are indeed an immortal. That's why you want a tombstone, right? So here's an excerpt. He says, leaving that place, we finally reached 49.5 degrees toward the Arctic pole. As it was winter, the ships entered a safe port to winter. We passed 2 months in that place without seeing anyone. One day, we suddenly saw a naked man of giant stature on the shore of the port, dancing, singing, and throwing dust on his head. The captain general sent one of our men to the giant so that he might perform the same actions as a sign of peace. Having done that, the man led the giant to an islet into the presence of the captain general. When the giant was in the captain general's and our present, he marveled greatly and made signs with one finger raised to upward, believing that we had come from the sky. He was so tall that we reached only to his waist, and he was well proportioned. They had women giants. Let's continue to read his entry. His face was large and painted red all over, while about his eyes he was painted yellow, and he had 2 hearts painted on the middle of his cheeks. His scanty hair was painted white. He was dressed in the skins of animals skillfully sewn together. That animal has a head and ears as large as those of a mule, a neck and a body like those of a camel, the legs of a deer, and the tail of a horse, like which it neighs. And the land was very many of them. The land had many of them. His feet were shod with the same kind of skins which covered his feet in the manner of shoes. In his hand he carried a short, heavy bow with a cord somewhat thicker than those of the lute, and made from the intestines of the same animal, and a bundle of rather short cane arrows feathered like ours, and with points of white and black flint stones in the manner of the Turkish arrows instead of iron. Those points were fashioned by means of another stone. So, goes on to talk about the significance of this official chronicler. Says it is significant to note that the above narrative is taken from the journal of an official chronicler of Magellan's voyage of discovery. This is the one person above all others who is tasked with recording and keeping the most accurate records of events, activities, whether exotic or the contrary, for his eyewitness accounts as a complete, precise, and accurate testimony of events that occurred during the voyage. Based on his position and responsibilities alone, his first-hand eyewitness testimony of encounters with 10-foot giants must be taken as factual information by an unimpeachable witness. To do otherwise is to trivialize the importance of the chronicler's fundamental accountability. It also gives foundational credit to other reports of giants in the Americas, Europe, and the Middle East of other eras, particularly those of the early 12th and 13th century BC that followed this narrative. John Jensen, historical documents. Well, look who that is. That's Vespasian. Shall we continue? Across the last and at least 6,000 years, records indicate the presence of medium-sized giant humanids up through the post-Columbia period. This section will look at the evidence of both oral and written records, as well as artifacts, bones, and full skeletons, and I got something for that one, that substantiate the actual existence of those post-glacial, mid or smaller sized giants, much larger than modern man, but not nearly as large as the earlier epoch giants. The records and artifacts suggest current epoch giant humanids up through the post-Columbian era were the smaller of the giants, standing between 8 and 13 feet in height and weighing about 850 to 3,200 pounds. In addition, this section will look at variations of the humanids and hominin types and their relationship to their antediluvian predecessors. Of particular interest are the Peruvian coneheads and other humanid types, including the star child skull. This section will document the case that surviving giants and other derivative humanid types and small to medium-sized dinosaurs, particularly the ceratops, the triopsops, the herodosops, live in isolated declining small groups up into the early Common Era. It is certainly likely that some aquatic form may still exist. So we go into the Book of Giants. We're going to talk about that a little bit more because apparently we've read this. The Old Testament gives validation to the giants. Not like that's a history book, but it is written in there. The Epic of Gilgamesh. This is where the stories come from. The Herodias. That's it. Philony. Andronicus, Eleazar, biblical references, numerous: Genesis, First Chronicle, Deuteronomy, Joshua, not in Joshua, Samuel, and it just goes on and on and on. Okay, so another one is this one, the ancient giants who ruled America. This has been completely wiped out from our history. Apparently there was this whole culture. These giants were intelligent, apparently more intelligent than us. There's stories of one special ops group, and it's out there. I just can't remember. I think I actually have a picture of the red giant. I think, in fact, it's called the Red Giant of Gandadar. And that was what, early 2000s. So, and then this gets into the whole thing, and I can continue on this one, but I got other things I want to do. Oh, let's stop sharing there, Steiger. So they're here. They were here. I contend that we still haven't examined all of the Earth. Our satellites, the 24/7, but okay. So think about this. So let's say this branch of the human genome, right? Because gargantuan still shows up in our bloodlines. Years ago, Alton, Illinois, had the Alton Giant, Bob. And I know that because I worked with the director that did a documentary on him. And gargantuism in humans, uh, unfortunately, they don't live long. But that gene is still there. Evidence that there had to have been a mixing of the bloodlines at some point. So that gives validation of this. So what if, and I'm just saying, what if? So E.T., big scene down in Miami, over, a total of 100 emergency police cars, black helicopters, all sorts of crap going on. The 5 teenagers, supposedly that this was causing this risk, they can't find them or have any evidence of them or whatever. Saying some of the cops were or all have been threatened not to speak of this. Well, you know what? That only goes so far in this day and age, but who knows? I haven't seen anything official that came out. Don't think we ever will. It was squashed. It's not going to be in the media. But let's just say the Giants, who apparently were here either first or at some point they ruled the world and ate us, and we were their bitches, and we bent over backwards, and etc. That's what the evidence shows. So, continuing on with the thought. So what if, just say what if E.T. came down? And lo and behold, E.T. was like 20 feet tall as well. And E.T. said, you guys been ruling this place, huh? Yeah. Well, how about we make a deal? They said, sure. So let's say that they transported or let's say relocated a bunch of their kind. Now, the theologians will go nuts because that means then the fallen angels have escaped. But that's just my point. The fallen angels are the ETs. They seem to be. A lot of them seem to need to have ships. We get that good dose all through the Old Testament. They have a good Gilgamesh. They had ships. So maybe they're interplanetary technology. Maybe they have figured out something beyond that. But let's just say they did that. So they're fine down there in Patagonia in South Africa, South America. Very few people go down there. It's the most godforsaken place that you can be. It really sucks. So I don't know. What if through genetics? I mean, they're a product of genetics. Unless you really think that some angel came down and suddenly grew a male phallus and decided to have, coitus with a human. I mean, at some point in time, the story just doesn't make any sense. It's like, but anyway, so what if it's not the sexual aspect of all? What if, in fact, it's evidence of a genetic takeover? I mean, they ruined our blood for going forward. That's why there's no humans left. There's only hybrids. We're a hybrid. You're a hybrid. I'm a hybrid. Everybody's hybrid. But, so then you get into that crazy thought, well, what if we are the giants? What if through some sort of genetic manipulation, they turned that aspect off? They jacked with our age, we know that. They jacked with our cellular decay, we know that. They jacked with our intelligence, we know that. Humans aren't getting smarter, they're getting dumber. With everything breaking the news, it's so funny because you're seeing all these cover-ups, and I sit back and it that the arrogance of some human beings, it baffles me. But in any case, getting back to the Giants. So what if Og wasn't the last one? What if that battle of the Raphium and the Nephilim, I mean, maybe that wasn't the only battle. Maybe they took the Moonchild, and although she may have been reported that she died, was actually murdered, but maybe some of the females went off to other places of the world. That was the problem. They had plenty of males that were being born from the females, but the problem was, and boy, you could get all into that one, is that, well, why did the Nephilim stop having the ability to produce females? I mean, you can get all into that kind of shit. I mean, is it true then that the female is really one of the most unique aspects of creation itself? That the representation of the feminine and power and physicality of body is truly that of this earth, this realm? That would make the woman, the female, the most desirous thing in all of creation. I'm just talking, you know. I mean, why not? Because it would say that these fallen ETs, what they're, in the narrative, they're angels. It appears that they're primarily male. Now we're talking about the book, and we'll get back into Beware of the World to Come about, the androgynous aspect of humanity. It kind of validates then this whole second thought that, well, there was no representation of a female body, neither in heaven, earth, or hell, or any other dimension. That would then mean what we perceive to be history is not history at all. And if it is, it's just a very short, period. Dynamis in its implication of a larger chronology. I don't know. See, Trina, that's why I need you and hey, Gaia. So I need the ladies here talk about this because it's rather interesting. Because we know the giants in Patagonia on the Magellan mission, there were children. There's pictures that were drawn from the official chronicler of, looks like us, just much bigger. It's interesting, isn't it? Divine feminine, yeah, Rage Against the Machine, exactly. So you ladies, all of you in the chat room and those who listen afterwards, when you die, you're going to die female? I mean, when you lay your bodies down, is your spirit going to be female? It's going to be feminine? I would say yes. I mean, I don't see myself. I wouldn't know what feminine means, am inside. As I've told Lynn, it's one of the most things about when people come together. You can have this love, this strong bond. And the thing about it is tests and trials makes that bond stronger. But as I told her as a philosopher, as I look at this thing, no matter how deeply in love I am with her, I can never reach that spot within her. I don't think no man can. it, as I've told her, it's evidence to me that there, even in the astral realms, I think this divine feminine is something that has a higher relevance, meaning. I don't know. Nora says, if we do reincarnate, we come back as either male or female, and eventually, I don't know if that's, I don't know, Loretta. I mean, I don't know. I've heard that thought mentioned by others, but I don't know. I again, I don't know. I can't actually recall, come to think about it, so it's quite interesting all the way around. Carol says higher love. Yeah, yeah. But the truth is, and I'm just speaking from my experience, there is that place. And I get and as Lynn said, it's vice versa as well. And I guess that is the true meaning, that we're all in fact gods and goddesses. I mean, I don't know. There is we much male and female. Hmm. I guess genetically, I guess we could say that, wouldn't it? But even if we get down into the deeper meaning, the mitochondrial DNA, we know that all humans are born female. Well, that certainly means to bring a lot of thought in the back end of that. Okay. I like what Julianne says. No more reincarnation. The planet has changed. Um, I don't get I really don't understand the purpose of reincarnation. I know this. People say, well, one lifetime isn't enough. For what? I think it is. I mean, I like going to an amusement park. I don't want to live in it. Certainly want to go beyond what would be the next. I really don't understand, because if what is it, the lessons that I could possibly learn? I could look for all eternity and go, all these lessons I've got to learn. That's the fucking point. It's not just a rinse and repeat, at least in my reality. This is just one step of yet an unfathomable next steps. If there's lessons to learn, I have no doubt about it. No one, I think, possesses all the experiences. But I don't think that experience is left here alone. And if there's some sort of morality to it, whose freaking morality are we dealing with here? Who is setting the guideline? If I'm truly a sentient consciousness, then that can't exist, because that's servitude. Or if there's lessons to learn, they'll be learned on my schedule, not to somebody else's. Anyway, that's all I got to say about that. Because, listen, we know this. Lynn and I have talked about this. When we transcend over, we make that voyage, there's no marriage contract over there. There's no marriage covenant. We each, as I told her, we each will have our separate journeys to go on. Now, I guess some could argue that maybe two can maybe do that. I would guess, but I don't know. They say our pets are waiting for us there. I've told Dancer, I said, puppy dog, you can come with me no matter where I go. Do you believe that you're going to have your pets waiting for you? You think that they have their souls? Are they immortal? Are they merely here on Earth? I don't know. My little dancer and I mean, we communicate telepathically. I mean, it's amazing. Anyway, Trina says, I think all matter is female and spirit would be the masculine. Yeah. Now I've often thought, maybe the narrative is that Eve was first, because I don't see how a male could give birth to anything and be male. I mean, I know that there are certain species, like I guess seahorses, but we're not a seahorse. Um, so maybe it was woman first. Maybe we don't have those records. Maybe we don't have the books, the culture, the history of when women ruled this realm and ruled in the spirit realm. Maybe when they were attacked, they wiped out the very image and thought of the female ever ruling, ever being at the pinnacle of everything in creation, because it's only a woman who can give birth to that which we see. I don't know. I could be wrong on this, but says Trina, see, honey, I hope you get better next week. Jenny as well. All Jenny's needing the computer. So again, if y'all want to help, go over to Jenny's channel, drop her a few shekels so we can maybe send her a little "we love you" gift. So Trina says all the lifetimes are recorded in the DNA. We are now remembering how to access. Well, then I think Trina, then that may be one of the largest discoveries, because I know this, the masculine, the patriarchal mindset, it and this is just me, I perceive it as being something very new. We've been deceived into believing that that's the way it was in the beginning. I don't think so. I don't think if you're telling me there's one beginning, then that beginning is replacing an ending of some kind. There's no first beginning. So maybe Lilith was right. Maybe this is the thing that's been wiped from our memory. And woe to those who begin to seek to remember it. Now you really are the threat. It's like, oh shit, are you hearing what they're talking about now? I told you all this was going to get out of hand. Tomorrow I'm going to read Josh's letter from Source. Quite beautiful. And we'll continue with our little study on hell. Later, Gilbert. Much love to you, brother. Going to work on my tenacity. Well, have one for me too. That's all I got to say. Anyway, I hope you found. I get it. I can't make up the two the powerful aspects of Trina and Jenny, but yeah. Anyway, but I think about this. I mean, to me, it seems very plausible that there had to have been a potential realm that where it was the divine feminine. I could be wrong on that, but I don't know. It's like having that scratch. It's like, hmm. Trina says, yes, I see the Akashic records are one with the DNA. And isn't that the other thing? Got one more minute here. You think about that, Trina. The fact that the DNA we hold within us more information than a human brain can handle. What's that all about? And so is that DNA then transferred over, and the point where the body goes back to where it went, but that DNA code, unless there's a lot of DNA in the ground, I mean, and there we know there is. Oh, that gets really strange. Well, we could certainly have another conversation on this one. Hey, Chris, thank you. Right back at you. Well, folks, this was a fun hour. Went in more directions than I anticipated, but it was fun. So, Trina, get better, dear. And Jenny, we will get you a new laptop there. We'll see you that. Lady Ellie, thank you. I loved Patrick's message from, yeah, still got those programs on there. Those were powerful. This group here, we broke ground in ways that, and in fact, no one has ever done another Talking with the Planets. Not in the way that we had that precious gift when Patrick was here. And those were some powerful, powerful breakthrough sessions. And it's never, I haven't seen it duplicated. There we go. All right, folks. We'll see y'all tomorrow. Hey, Red Honey. All right, everybody. Much love to you. Thank you, Mary Wins. Appreciate you. And until we meet again on the hump day of our reality. So, and happy birthday, John. Throwing that out to you. Love you, brother. So, again, what a magical mystery tour. I'm loving this. I'm loving it. I want some more of it. All right, folks. Thank you all. Until then.